Most people imagine a very smart person one way. They picture someone calm and sure of themselves. Someone who solves problems fast and moves through life with no trouble. Maybe a bit shy at a party, but ahead of everyone else. They are wrong. A high IQ does make you fast at some things. You spot patterns quickly. You hold many ideas in your head at once. You see how things connect. That part is true. But it also does something else, something almost nobody talks about. A high IQ turns up the volume on everything you notice. Not just ideas. Everything. People. Your own mistakes. The space between what you wanted to make and what you actually made, the space between how the world is and how it could be. More volume does not mean more comfort. It means more to deal with, more to feel, more for your brain to handle all day long whether you want it or not. That is not a clean gift. It is a rewiring of the mind, and from the outside, most of what it produces looks like weakness. Here is the first thing people do not expect. For very smart people, spending time with friends did not make them happier. This is not a guess. It is a real study. In 2016, two researchers, Norman Lee and Satoshi Kanazawa, published their work in the British Journal of Psychology. They looked at about 15,000 young adults. For most people, seeing friends more often went with feeling happier with life. But for the most intelligent people, that link got much weaker, and among the very smartest, it even flipped the other way. Think about what that means. The thing that lifts most people up, being around others and talking and connecting, does much less for a very smart mind, sometimes nothing at all. Sometimes it even drains them. This is not about hating people. It is more specific than that. Most chats run on a kind of shared wave, small talk, easy agreement, the same familiar ideas going around. For most people, that wave feels warm. It feels like belonging. For a mind running at full volume, that same wave can feel like noise. You follow the chat. You take part. But part of you is watching from a small distance. You notice what nobody is saying. You catch what is under the words. You wonder if anyone else sees what you see, and most of the time they do not. So you learn to adjust. You make yourself simpler again and again so people can follow you. You cut your thoughts down before you say them. You drop the part that would take 20 minutes to explain, and you just say the easy thing instead. That is tiring in a way that is hard to put into words. You come home from a party and you're not tired from the people. You are tired from translating yourself all night. Lita Hollingworth was a psychologist who spent years studying highly gifted children. She saw the same thing again and again. The higher a child's intelligence, the harder it was for them to find others who thought like them. Not just at school, in life. You can go years without meeting someone who thinks the way you do. Not because you are better, because you are rare. And being rare brings its own kind of loneliness, the loneliness of having no one to compare notes with. You're not looking down on people, you just feel a gap in the conversation that you stopped hoping anyone would fill. Now here is where it gets stranger. The same mind that runs so fast also cannot turn off. A Polish doctor named Kazimierz Dabrowski described something he called overexcitabilities. That is a big word for a simple idea. It means feeling some things much more strongly than other people do. Two of these show up a lot in very smart minds. The first is about thinking, not just being curious. Something more restless than that. Your mind keeps running even after the problem is solved. It goes back, asks new questions, opens new doors. It does not just stop for the day. You have probably felt this. You finish the work. The work is done, and your brain keeps going. Not because you chose it, because it has no off switch. The second is about feeling. A deep sensitivity, not only to beauty, but to anything unfair, to pain, even the pain of strangers. Things most people barely notice can hit you hard. Something small happens, a small unfairness, a small act of cruelty. And it lands much harder than it should, and it stays much longer than it should. This is not weakness. It is the other side of the same mind, the same wiring that lets you hold more ideas, also lets you feel more deeply. Rex Jung is a brain researcher at the University of New Mexico. With his colleague Richard Heyer, he studied how smart brains are built. They reviewed dozens of brain scan studies and found a clear pattern. They call it the P-fit theory. In plain words, it says intelligence is not about one fast part of the brain. It is about how well far apart parts of the brain talk to each other. More parts of the brain connected, more signal crossing more distance. That is what gives you the pattern spotting, the big picture thinking, the new ideas. But it also gives you the noise, the overload, the trouble making your own inner world simple enough to rest in. There is a certain kind of doubt that very smart people feel a lot. It is not quite imposter feelings. It is sharper than that. You see the gap between the idea in your head and the thing you made. You see the gap between how well something could be done and how it got done. You see the gap between what you know and what you would need to know to be sure. Most people do not see these gaps so clearly. That is not because they are dumb. It is just lower volume. When you cannot see the gap, you cannot worry about it. Two psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, showed something close to this. People who are not very good at something often feel sure they are great because they cannot see what they are missing. People who really know a lot tend to judge themselves more honestly, and that honesty often feels uncomfortable. The more you truly know, the more clearly you see the edge of what you know. And past that edge is everything you do not. So you hold your answers loosely. You add a maybe. You say it depends, while others say obviously. From the outside, that can look like you cannot make up your mind, like weakness, but it is not. It is just an honest mind that knows its own limits. Carol Dweck, a psychologist who studies how people think about ability, found something surprising. Kids who get praised for being smart often grow up afraid of failing. They learn to believe that being smart means never struggling. So when something gets hard, they feel like frauds. You were told you were smart. That became who you are. So failing does not just feel like a bad day. It feels like proof that the whole story about you was wrong. So you avoid the thing that might show you are not as good as everyone thought. You put it off, not because you're lazy, but because not starting protects you from finding out. You set a bar so high that you can picture the perfect version clearly. And then you freeze, because anything less than perfect feels like failure. This is a trap, and it is wired right into the same mind that makes you good at things. There's also a brain reason why many smart people chase new things. Deep in the brain, there is a reward system that lights up for anything new. New problems, new patterns, new information. When that reward system is wired into a fast mind, new feels great, and routine feels flat. New beats repeating. New can even beat finishing. You start the new project full of fire. The middle gets harder, and the end, when the puzzle is solved and only the boring finishing is left, can feel almost unbearable. This is not a disease. It is a mind built to explore, dropped into a world that also needs you to follow through and do the same task right 50 times in a row. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi spent years studying very creative people. He interviewed dozens of them. He said the one word that set them apart was complexity. He meant that inside one person you would find opposite traits living together. Quiet and full of energy, playful and serious, humble and proud. They could switch between both sides more fully than most people. That mix made their work special. It also made them hard to live with, even for themselves. Here is the twist. Every trait we just talked about looks like a problem. Feeling apart from others, not being able to switch off, feeling things too strongly, too much doubt, putting things off, fear of failing, getting bored by routine. But these are not separate flaws. They are one single system. This is what it looks like when a mind is built for more than most days ask of it. The distance from others comes from a real mismatch in wavelength. The mind that will not switch off is the same mind that connects so many ideas. The deep feelings come from how richly the thinking and feeling parts are joined. The doubt is just honest self-judgment in a mind that sees its own limits, and putting things off protects a person who was told far too early that being smart is who they are. These are not weaknesses. They are signs of one certain kind of mind. Think about where you are right now, not your whole life. Today, this week, is there something you have not started because you already know it will fall short of what you can picture? Is there a conversation you keep carrying that nobody around you seems to want to have? Is there a version of your thoughts you keep trimming before anyone hears it because the full version would take too long to explain? That gap between what is happening inside you and what you let out is not a failure to communicate. It is the price of a mind running at full volume. You are not broken. You are running on a mind that was built for more than most places are designed to give it. The question is not how to fix your mind. The question is how to find the right place for it, the right work, the right people, the right problems. That is the thing worth looking for. Not making yourself smaller, not fitting in, not staying quiet, with the right wavelength.